today to come here to join the mentoring with Miranda Suryadjaja. So today is a great day for us to meet here all together. This is the first time also to me to know you, many friends, and doing this such a beautiful activity. So before we start, toilet is there. How's the food? How's the food?
Thank you.
And then toilet is over there. So we will open the this Sunday meeting with the president of the Magical Valley Toastmaster. Welcome to Aping.
Thank you, Annie. Guys, good afternoon. This place is not new to me because once, twice, I get to meet Miranda 3 years back. And the first invitation I got from her was come over to my place on her birthday. 3 years ago.
Wow. Yeah.
And you know what, guys? We were lost then. So coming back the second time was easy because when you're lost, you know the way. And I think the same also with the event today, that in our journey in Toastmasters, at times we're lost. But when we get lost, that's when we realize we need help. And in Miranda, you will see that a person that can give more to us, to our journey in Toastmasters, and I think it will be very helpful for everyone, myself included. And for the new members, even for the older members, it's a very good, I would say, wake-up call of what we're doing, how we do things, and maybe we have to do things better so that we can lead this club, which I would say her brainchild, because she got her Distinguished Toastmasters Award when you were working on a club, right? To start on the Magical Valley.
No, when I chair the convention.
But who started the
Me.
Magical?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
started the
So
yeah.
that's why it's very close to her heart, and helping her out on whatever we can do to make that dream of hers a reality. At times it go high, at times go low, but over the years it has been there. And I think I can see it in Miranda's sincerity and also the way she helps out in the club. So welcome everyone, and I know Miranda will not be pressured, right? But she'll give her best, and at the same time we're very ready to learn. So welcome everyone, and I hope this will be a very fun afternoon.
Yeah, thank you.
So I'll turn. Do I have to introduce you?
I think Emmy wants.
Okay. To introduce our speaker, let me call him Emmy.
Well, everybody knows Miranda. You don't know?
A little bit.
Okay, first time I know Miranda in 2008. It's a long time ago. 8 years.
2010. 2010.
No, 2008.
When? No, that's 2010.
Let's make a discussion later.
2008.
10 or 8
So
is
the
okay.
old, right?
We know it.
That's 2010.
Okay, 2010. But I don't continue because
She came to the beginning of this club, but she didn't join at the moment.
and the first time at the exam, I feel so strange. What is this? And Miranda Suryadjaja, everyone give applause. Oh, Miranda. So Miranda is here now. To me, Miranda is very hard person based on my experience doing life coaching with her, and then some of the mentoring like in Toastmaster. Very hard woman, and then very
Excuse me, did you say hard or hard?
so,
Hard.
hard.
Hard. H-A-R-D.
Oh, hard.
But,
That's what she is.
but I like her style because
Maybe tough.
I guess so. Because she want everyone to be brave to achieve what we have a goal, whatever doing. That's I saw from Miranda's very big heart. So Miranda is a speaker, writer, life coaching trainer, and she is a DTM, the Toastmaster in Bali. So I think
Does everybody know what DTM is?
Distinguished Toastmaster, I think.
I know, but we need to be told.
So Miranda will explain everything, and we'll do a mentoring session today, which is we need it more to learn about how to do good public speaking. Okay, welcome, Miranda Suryadjaja.
That was a bit of a long introduction.
Yeah, it's true.
But here I am. Let's just relax. And that's for those of you who are not Toastmasters, that's just the Toastmaster. But today, actually, we're a bit informal. We're not like in the club setting where we're just informal, and I'm mostly sharing what I know, what works, and hopefully that will help you guys, like in my invitation, to achieve your personal goals by understanding what Toastmasters is about. So even though it's called mentoring group session, it's actually you learn about Toastmasters, about how to create a speech, and what's the most that you can get. I mean, how can you get the best out of Toastmasters? And also in all that, it will also help people, even you, new members, to prepare to be mentors also. As you are mentored, you also will learn how to mentor others. And actually I made this in 2013, if I'm not mistaken.
Ooh.
So I wrote this in 2013. I think Mao came to that first one, right? The one at Inubud, when I did a mentoring group as well. That was the only other time that I did as a group, I believe. Would you move a little bit? Okay. And so I thought, wow, I already have this, so I don't have to prepare again. And we're going to touch some of this, and we can also make questions. Give me questions based on this. Yeah. So first thing that I feel is the most important thing for all of you speakers or all of you members and anybody who's even not Toastmasters is how to create your speech from craft your speech from scratch. Blah, blah, blah. All right, and even though if you look at your manual for the competent leader, there's a project for mentoring, and it only requires to mentor for 3 projects. What I'm going to do today is actually give an overview for the whole basic manual, communication basic manual in Toastmasters. So like that, you prepare for all your speeches. Right? You don't have to worry about how do I do the next speech. But we'll start with the very basics. So I'm just going to start with that, and even though we have an agenda, we're going to be quite flexible about that. Yeah, and I would like to explain this, and maybe for about 20 minutes or almost half an hour, because it's quite a lot that to cover, and then you can ask me questions. And I did say in our chat that if you have some speech idea, you can bring it up and we can try it right away. Yeah, so that you can have a concept on how to create speech just from an idea. Right? So let's just start. What is the most difficult thing for you when you think about doing a speech?
Grammar.
Grammar.
Starting
I'm
it.
crazy with that.
Yeah. So grammar. Okay. Mao is grammar.
Yeah.
Huh?
Starting it.
Yeah. All right. No. Put the whole thing. Put the whole thing. With this like this. Like somebody using that. Yeah. So all right. So let's just. I assume this is something that everybody has in common. You have an idea, and you don't know how to make that into a speech. Yeah, more or less like that. And we have ideas all the time. You know, we think, well, this would be great to be shared and to be made into a speech. But how do we start? So without beating the bush, let's just, the first thing that you have to think is, what is your message? What is it that you want to tell people? What is it that you, let's say, okay, does anybody have, I would like to work with a concrete example. So if anybody has a speech idea for the next one, all right? Why is it like this?
So everybody has.
Okay. Bisa longer. Jadi
Iya,
pendek-pendek nanti
kan
harusnya sih dari
itu.
sini deh. Di sini aja.
Satu.
Ya,
Satu
itu
nomor
oke, nggak apa-apa nanti. Nanti ini aja lebih gampang. Harusnya mau pakai yang lebar itu. Sama besar. Okay, yeah, just like that. It's okay. It's easier that way. All right. So Emmy wants to start.
Yeah.
What is your topic, Emmy?
I have been thinking about my CC4 for 2 weeks. I'm
Yeah.
stuck. So my idea is I want to speak about diet.
Diet.
Yes.
Okay, so the topic is diet. All right. So what do you want to talk about that? What do you want to? What is the message, or why do you want to talk about diet?
Diet is very important for our health. But not only that point I want to share to the audience, because when we talk about diet, in our mind, what is in your mind if I talk diet? So we think beauty, body shape, food,
Sexy.
sexy, something like that. But I want to share my idea more wide than
Yeah. Okay. So what is that wide idea? So what do you want to talk about diet?
Are you trying to say that diet is much more than changing your look or maintaining your look?
Yeah, it's basically, I mean, if I can use that, all right, let's just use that so we can go a lot faster. You can borrow that or not later on. So that is a very good point what Katrina is making. It's a statement. So diet, the point in that is, diet is, what do you say, Katrina?
I said it's a lot more than
Okay.
your look.
Diet is
Changing or
much more than
maintaining a
your
certain
look.
look.
Much more than your look. Alright? So this is the idea, this is the thought. And this is going to be the base of your speech. Alright? So diet is much more than looks. Than your looks. Yeah? Alright. So assume that's what you're going to talk, and this is a very, very good topic. I mean, it's very relevant, it's very relatable, right? And that's the angle that you start with. So how do you, now after you have that, so this is basically the message to the world that diet is more than your looks. So it's a point, it's a phrase, it's a foundation of what you're going to talk about, what it's going to be based on. So now that you have that, you think, how can I convey that? All right, so how you convey that? Now we're starting to think about the body of the message, yeah? So the body is basically about how or what are you going to say about that? What are you going to say about this point, or how you're going to convey the message, this message, right? So for example, let's say, what, can anybody give an example? How can, for example,
For
We can
example,
use that.
models are actually very unhealthy. They're
All right.
anorexic, bulimic.
yes, so something like that, yeah? So models are unhealthy. Just, you don't have to worry how it's going to come out later in the paper, just bring the thoughts there. So models are actually unhealthy, you say? Yeah? Thin models, like beautiful thin models are actually unhealthy. Right? Okay, so that's one point. What else can you say about diet is much more than looks?
People who diet are unhealthy usually, miserable. Like if you're sitting at dinner and everybody's eating something delicious and the person on the diet's like, oh, yummy salad, you know, they're like miserable and grumpy.
So how would you say that? How would you
In one
in
sentence.
one sentence?
John, he's the most long-winded human on the planet.
What? Long-winded?
Long-winded.
Okay, we'll talk about that later on, about getting to the point. So basically, people who are on a diet are usually unhappy, right? This is an example, and you can see how it's going to develop later on. People on diet are unhappy. Okay, let's give one more point, and I'll tell you why 3. It can be more, but I'll
I
tell you
think
why
number
3.
3 should be something positive because you've got 2 fairly negative statements.
Okay.
So if I was thinking about it, I'd go the positive route and say something about the benefits of diet. You know,
Mhm.
the fact that there are many benefits of diet approached
Mhm.
properly.
Yeah. Let's say the positive benefits or the true benefits of. Okay, for now, just say benefits.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we'll work on that. Benefits.
Because
of
otherwise,
diet.
aren't you just talking about negative, negative, negative?
Yeah, you can say that. I mean, you know, we won't know until you actually explore that.
But then
Right.
this diet meaning like going on diets or the eating habits.
Yeah, sorry.
Up to you.
Because I disagree with the diet thing makes you unhappy. Because if you are doing like a certain diet, it can make, and you take it obsessively, it can make you unhappy. But if you have like a vegan diet or like a vegetarian diet and it's your habit, like you said, it will
Yeah.
make you unhappy.
So it's
Great
a-
point.
the
So
verb
actually,
versus
when
the
you're
lifestyle.
doing here, you can actually make a few, right? A few of points that can support that, and then later on you can pick and find the ones that connect. So, what about types of diet?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you talk about types of diet, maybe you'll find what is healthy and what is not healthy. Yeah. Okay. Anything else?
You could just
The
talk about
reason
the,
why you're in
the-
diet?
Huh?
What'd you say, Alan?
Maybe
Reasons?
it could be why are you in diet? Like,
Yeah.
what led you to
Reasons for dieting.
Reasons for dieting. Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's work with this first. All right. So when you start a speech, crafting a speech, these are the most important thing for now. What's the message, the overall message, and the points that you're going to talk about. So now you can choose. And for this purpose, I'm not going to go very into details, but I'm just going to pick something. All right. So I did talk about 3. The power of 3. I mentioned that in the thing. So you've heard of people who speak and touch a lot of things. They talk a lot about this, a lot about that, and then talk about this and that and that. And then how did they end up? I mean, what did you usually think? Like if people have a lot of points in their
boring.
speech.
Well, you only hold on to a certain
Yeah.
number, don't you?
Yeah, you only
The rest
can
of it gone.
hold on to certain numbers, and the rest is like you lose it, or you don't remember, or you only connect with something that's important to you, and also it kind of make the speech a bit losing what is the purpose, you know, you go into too
no
many
real
examples and stuff like that. So there is this principle in public speaking that's called the power of 3. The power of 3 is the maximum that people can hold, you know, there are like 3 points that they can really get. And of course, you know, you can do 5 or 10, then you only retain 3, but why waste your time doing 5 or 10? So just find something that's really important to you, that really matter, and just focus on that and go deep in that. Alright, so 3. Now, I'm going to talk about time now, before we think about writing a lot. About time. So, some of you probably had gone overtime, or some under time. The reason is because you don't know, you don't prepare you don't write your speech, right? So there are people who say, well, you know, I cannot write my speech. I'd rather go impromptu, which is good. You know, some people are natural about that. I'm not going to say it's good in that way because it's very confusing. What I mean is the danger of not writing your speech when you first create it, you don't know how long it's going to be. Yeah, then you always have to be, oh, you know, I'm almost running out of time, and then you have to rush or you have to cut it or something. But if you write your speech and then you practice with it, you do it like, you know, maybe 10 times, doing it that way, eventually you'll find your balance, and you know where how much, you know, like how much you can write or how much you can give a speech in. So as a rule of the thumb, if you have, let's say in Toastmaster it's always like between 5 and 7 or 8 and 10, count 100 words per minute. Yeah, even though actually when we speak a lot faster. You know, we speak maybe 150, or some people are even faster than that. But the point is, in a speech, you want to make it a little bit under, because sometimes you forget, you take time, you try to remember, and sometimes people laugh. And that's very important. When people laugh, don't speak. Okay? And I'll tell you why. When people laugh, it's actually the biggest respect they give to your speech. You know, like they appreciate it, they enjoy your speech. So you respect them back by letting them laugh until they're finished. Because if you speak while people are laughing, what happens?
Nobody listens.
Yeah, you lose, you know, nobody hears you, and then actually the audience feel, how do you say, undermined. Yeah, dikacangin kalau bahasa Indonesia. Alright? So like, you know, like I'm still enjoying it. Why are you already like, you know, talking over me? Kind of thing. Yeah. So if you have like a 5 to 7 minutes, so make your writing speech about finished one, about 500 or 550. That would be safe. And you can always add more. If you have a little bit more time, you might be able to add more. But it's hard to cut when you're already memorizing so much. Yeah. So 5 to 7 minutes, maybe write about 550, 600 max. And then 4 to 6, I would say about 500 words. Yeah. All right. So now you have this. Start writing. So this is the point. Basically, you have the point, then you explain. You explain. You give an example. You can give a quote. You can give your personal story, which is always best in speeches. Audience connect most with personal stories rather than preaching. Nobody likes being preached. Right? Like, okay, you know, you should be like this, you should be like that. Nobody cares. But if you talk about your own personal stories, about your suffering, your struggles, and you end up coming out of that, overcoming that struggle, that is gold in speeches. Okay? Then you can, later on we'll talk about the closing. That's where you put the inspiration, the message, the call to action. But during the speech, if you have a point, the best thing is use personal story or somebody else's story, but it's a human story, human interest. Or you can use sometimes statistics or sometimes quotes, yeah. But it needs an explanation. So, all right. Another thing that I forgot to mention is when you create a speech, it's 80% body and then 20% for opening and closing. So the majority of your speech is going to be about the body. So 10% for the opening and 10% for closing. So when you write it, it becomes very clear. If you don't write it, you don't know. You may be opening and, you know, like giving an example or stories for half to 1/3 of the speech already, and then you haven't even gone to the point of what you want to say. Yeah. So writing it is very important until you do at least 10 speeches. Make a habit of that. Okay? Mao, you want to share something, Mao?
It's quite difficult for me to prepare the speech.
Because you never wrote.
I never read because I just pick up, and I don't have. That's the reason why the point of me is this grammar. That's really hard job because I learned in Toastmaster. Nobody are blame me when I'm speak up in English, and everybody are always appreciate what I'm doing. That is the good point in Toastmaster. I get a lot of appreciation, and also I get really high of the confidence. All the way I just speak up, and I forget about how to do it in grammar because everybody said, your English now is more fluent, and your English getting better than before, but I don't know. That's the also another point. Like a grammar are really necessary to work it.
Yeah. So that's one point of it. That's one point, but I totally disagree with that. For me, it's not the grammar. It's about as long as people understand what you're telling, and it comes from the heart, it's much more important. And we have an example. If you know Sri, you've met Sri. Some of you have met Sri. Yes, Sri is one of my members, but she's inactive right now. I'll tell her a little bit of her background. She grew up in an orphanage. She only she only finished high school, and she worked as a maid in Malaysia at some point. And then she came back and started from the bottom working in a spa. She's a spa manager now, but that was her background. So her English was not good at all, right? But what she got from Toastmaster, she first joined Toastmaster, like, oh, my English is so bad, my English is so bad. But somehow the process helped her, and she became confident. And she just I could see like her body change, like like this, until she just could stand up and open her chest and just spoke. And she's a good evaluator, and she had probably one of the best inspiring speeches that I've ever heard, doing the speech number 10, which is inspiring speeches. And her English hardly changed, but that doesn't really matter, because you can feel it. You say like, oh, a little bit, I don't really, but it doesn't really matter, because you get the whole message. Very inspiring, and even with that, she changed the way she manages her staff. So now after a few months, she said that her staff now listen to her and all that. So for me, I wouldn't get hung up on grammar, but work rather on the principles, on the system, so the structure.